Hello and welcome back to the Entertainment Vortex. Today we were at Brennan Theaters watching Solo, a Star Wars story. Going into the movie, we know that there were a lot of production issues. We know that they changed direction teams halfway through. We know that the trailers have been kind of a mixed bag. The people are kind of meh to it. We definitely noticed there were no crowds at our theater. A Star Wars release, you get there like an hour and a half early and you expect lines everywhere, and we walked straight through with no one anywhere. That goes to show me that the hype for this movie was nowhere near Last Jedi. Probably rightfully so. I wasn't too incredibly excited going into this. I will preface this by saying that. So when I came in, I had pretty low expectations, but I was still excited to see it because it is Star Wars, and I am a huge Star Wars fan, so I wanted to see more from that universe. And the original movies, Han Solo was my favorite character from them. This movie is definitely a mixed bag. It is good points and bad points. The problem is the bad points I feel are really bad. Some of the writing, very predictable. There were very few surprises for me in this movie, and this movie is something that's supposed to be full of surprises. Everything felt telegraphed. Cliches, like they took out a trope book and they just picked stuff off the tropes. Everything had been done before, nothing was new. And I know they always say that every movie's been made and at this point you're just rehashing old ideas, but it was the way they did it. I don't think it was written very well. There were a couple surprises in the movie that we won't give away here because this is spoiler free. I did like the surprises. I like I don't even think they're called Easter eggs at this point. I think they would just be things that they put in there for the bigger universe, and I did enjoy that stuff. But the actual meat of the story, where it was going, the twists and turns, I just saw it all coming. And when you have a movie like this and you see it all coming, you just kind of like, oh yeah, of course that's happening. Of course that was pretty much what was going through my mind the entire movie was, of course this happened.
The trailers for this were pretty weak. Didn't seem like something that I was going to be super excited about. And then I heard that they had some pretty positive reviews leading up to the actual release of the film. Still tempered my expectations. Wasn't something that I was super excited about, but I definitely went in with an open mind, prepared to see if they could make something happen for my favorite Star Wars character. Overall, I would say that I feel like this was a fairly positive experience for me particularly. I enjoyed a lot about this film. It definitely has some negatives and some drawbacks. Nick and I are going to have some very differing opinions during this review, but I enjoyed a lot of this film. It was something that I felt was good fun. It was an enjoyable experience in the theater, and it was something that I will probably go see again for sure.
There were some good performances. I did enjoy Emilia Clarke from Game of Thrones fame, of course. I thought she did a really good job as the character she was playing. Her character has some subtlety to it. The entire time you're being told there's stuff being hidden and you don't know, and that's kind of neat, that wanting to know more about that character. I was very intrigued by it. I felt that Glover did an amazing job as Lando. He talked like him. He had that casual suave like the original character. I really dug him as Lando. I think he did a great job. With that being said, I still don't think that's Han Solo. Even after watching the movie, I was hoping that I'd watch the movie and I'd feel differently, that I'd see the character in him. He can do the poses, shoot his gun with his hand back and all of that, but he doesn't feel like Han Solo. Han Solo has a subdued personality. He's suave and he's charismatic, but he's not suave and charismatic in the typical way. Harrison Ford has this kind of gruff way about him. Yeah, he's a scoundrel. Yeah, he's a smuggler. He's got that kind of outlaw feel to him, but it's done differently, and I think that's what made that character so wonderful. What they did is they took a character that the entire point of him was to not understand his character, not understand his backstory. He's the mysterious smuggler. Tell you his backstory, and then do it in a way that seems, I don't know if nonchalant's the way to put it, but he just seemed kind of like he was floating through everything. And that's not really what I get from Han Solo. I understand that he just kind of takes chances, but when he takes chances, it seems like he's brave. When this Han Solo took chances, it seemed like he was reckless. It just felt differently. The characters felt very different to me. And the problem with that is the movie's literally about him. So if he can't carry it as that main character, it just doesn't work, and I don't feel he carried it as the main character. One of my biggest issues when it comes to this version of Han Solo, the original Han Solo wasn't really the smiling type. He would smirk, he would smile briefly, but he was very gruff and almost dark and mysterious. That was the idea behind his character. You didn't know his motivations. This guy had a stupid grin on his face the entire freaking movie. It's like it's a different person. And I understand that you grow over time as you get older, but no one takes that big of a jump. It's almost, and especially since by the end of the movie, he wasn't any closer to the original Han Solo. He was still stupid grins and one-liners. That wasn't who Han Solo was. Yeah, that's a roguish character. It's a stereotype that's used a lot, but that's not Han Solo's character. Han Solo is a different kind of roguish character. If this actor would have carried himself and acted and spoke more like Harrison Ford, like Donald Glover did for Billy D. Williams, he really emulated who that character is. He felt like a younger Lando. This didn't feel like a younger Han Solo. This just felt like a generic roguish character. I just feel that he was the weakest part of the movie, and the movie's freaking named after him. So that's really sad.
This was a little bit weird, at least in the first third of the film, as far as making Han Solo a younger character. I don't think they necessarily picked the right actor for the role. He doesn't look or sound anything like him. It's telling on screen. You run into a couple of walls as far as keeping immersion with him, because it just doesn't seem like Han. Han was played by the great Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford creates a character. He just has this ability to make you understand and relate to him even with limited information about what he's about. I just didn't feel like that was the same. It got better as the movie went on. It didn't get great, but it did get better.
You do get some interesting backstory pieces about how certain people meet, certain aspects. I don't want to give them away here, but you get certain aspects about Han Solo explained that are just taken for granted in the original movies, and that's pretty cool. I like that. I don't feel the movie as a whole was written super well. These little tidbits and Easter eggs you get in the movie were fun, and they were definitely positive points, but when the overall story is so weak, I don't think it fixes it.
The story itself runs into a couple of generic issues, but there were still plenty of surprises to be had that were enjoyable, and I felt like the story serviced some of the scenes that it needed to make happen for us to find out a little bit more about this character, and explain away some of the issues from previous films as far as like things that are in the canon that don't make sense or don't have like the science necessarily to back it up. It was sometimes not done justice by the actual plot itself. But overall, it moved us from beat to beat. We got some really cool action scenes because of it, and it was a lot of fun. Moving on to some of the positives for me, Donald Glover was outstanding. He perfectly emulated the character, like lived inside of it, with all of the grandiose gestures and the outfits and just the way that he presented himself. He just had this like cool swagger about him, and you just want to be that character. It makes you want to start wearing capes and wearing ridiculous t-shirts. It was an amazing performance. He knocked it out of the park. If I'm going to buy any pops from this movie, they're going to be the Lando pops, because he killed it.
So a strong point of the movie is definitely the special effects. There's a scene where there's a train that kind of spins in a circle on the track, and they're kind of having this heist thing on the train, and they're hooked to it and falling and sliding and fighting, and I mean, there's pretty cool stuff going on in that action scene. While the heist itself is it's towards the beginning of the movie and it's kind of building up what's going on and where we're going, I did enjoy the action associated with that. That was super cool.
And you see him in the trailers. As far as Woody Harrelson's character is concerned, he basically just plays Woody Harrelson as X character. He does a lot of the same things he does in every movie. He has that distinct voice that he never attempts to change. He has that distinct style of delivery. It's very much a Woody Harrelson performance, which is not a bad thing. He fits into the movie fairly well. It's just, you definitely know that it's Woody Harrelson. And maybe giving that type of a role to someone who's a little less known might have given that character a little more weight. But it was still fun and interesting to watch him on screen, and his banter is really good. So it's something that you can't really complain about. But like I said, it's anytime you see Woody Harrelson on screen, you just think of things like Zombieland and that sort of stuff.
So there is a cameo towards the end that we're not going to give away. That I thought was the coolest part of the movie. Just like Rogue One had its Darth Vader scene, which was amazing and probably the best part of the movie, this had a cameo towards the end to tie into the story that I thought was fantastic. I think you're really going to enjoy that cameo, so look forward to that. That's worth seeing the movie alone. I'm glad I saw this movie.
One thing that I will say, kind of as a closing piece here, I'm not certain as to how successful they're being with some of these anthology anthology films that they're doing based around the universe. They haven't been bad in my opinion. I've definitely enjoyed them and I've watched them several times, except, you know, obviously I'm going to watch this one several times, as I've stated before. It feels like they're trying to do something similar to what Marvel has done in the past. And it being another Disney property, I mean, that totally makes sense. Rogue One had kind of like a espionage, kind of spy war thing going on. This movie has kind of like that, almost kind of like a heist type of feel. It's emulating a formula that Marvel does. You know, they take a movie about a comic book character and they turn it into a genre film. And it has this really interesting flair to it. And a lot of the Marvel films have been successful. I don't think these have been as successful with those outings. So I don't know if it's something that I want to continue seeing a lot of. I mean, we're going to get a lot of Star Wars. They've already said that they have 1 billion movies that they're going to release. We'll see how it goes and if they pick up on things and they start to clean things up. But like I said, I'm enjoying them. I just feel like maybe the trying to do the genre things in Star Wars isn't working as well as they're hoping.
So in my opinion, I feel that this is one of the weakest Star Wars movies. It's not Episode 2 Attack of the Clones bad, but it's bad. So I'm going to give this movie a 7 out of 10. It's an okay movie. It's not horrible. It's not great. I'm glad I saw it, but I'm not going to run out and buy it. Just like Rogue One, I didn't go out and buy that movie. I bought Last Jedi first day. I bought Force Awakens first day. And I own, you know, the original 3. But I'm not running out to buy this one. I have no desire to see it again. I just feel it's weak. I just don't think it lived up to that character and did that character justice, and that's sad because, once again, that was my favorite character from the original 3 movies. So I really wanted this to be better and really show some justice for that character. But instead, I got a pale comparison in my opinion.
I'm going to go ahead and give this movie an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it a lot. It's something that I want to see again. I'll probably see before it leaves theaters. It has some negative aspects to it that just kind of draw that score down a little bit for me. Like I said, the performance, it does get better as the movie goes through. You shouldn't have a movie about somebody and have the other characters being the people that hold it up.
If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. We do a minimum of 4 videos a week, including movie reviews, Funko Pop news, and a bunch of gaming content. If you're interested in getting one of our t-shirts, the link is down in the description. And as always, we hope you'll follow us into the Vortex. We'll see you next time.